Hey everybody, welcome to Etc. Live. I'm your host, Kelly Barrett. Welcome to a very, very special episode of Etc. Live. I am beyond thrilled to have my guest tonight. We are here to honor the life and legacy of one of the world's most iconic drummers of all time, Neil Peart. And joining me today is Nancy Peart, Neil's sister. Hi, Nancy.
Hello, it's nice to be here. I'm sorry, I was supposed to have two siblings here and they were both unable to make it, so it's just me.
That's just fine. That's just fine, Nancy. And you know what? We're just so happy to see that you survived the tornado-like conditions the other
Yeah,
night.
that was crazy.
What is going on? I know it is still going on in parts of Ontario. It's
Yeah, it's gorgeous here now. We had a beautiful weekend and fireworks were up last night and it was lovely. So we were just grateful that it moved on.
right. Go somewhere else. Absolutely.
Hopefully, it doesn't come back to you.
Yeah,
'Cause-
right. So right off the bat, and this is kind of funny, Nancy, we're going to settle a decades-old debate. And I think I kind of just did when I introduced you, but whether it's Peart or Pert, I'm sure is something you deal with all the time. So let the record show it is actually Peart, not Pert.
Yes, you said exactly right. And my thing since high school is that I am not shampoo. And anyone who knows me knows that's my comeback line. I'm not shampoo. And you said it exactly right.
But you know, I have to be honest, and I'm just going to be honest. I'm one of those people who said Pert for
Mhm.
years and years and years. And we had a chance to meet at the Peart Family Foundation in Calgary a couple of months ago, and there was somebody walking. I think it might have been Rick Anderson from Steve McQueen Band had a swear jar, and whenever anybody said Pert,
Yeah.
they had to pay something.
Yeah. My sister had picked up one. Morgan, the artist who's involved in the legacy at Lakeside Park, had one in his studio. And it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. And Judy picked it up and held it, and everyone thought that it was hers. So I said, what a great moneymaker.
That poor Peart sister must need money. She's
Yeah.
asking for tips.
Yeah.
Right on, Nancy. I'm really, really glad you're here. We have so much to talk about tonight. We're going to get to the foundation here. First, I just want to give a quick shout out to my show sponsors, Writers and Rockers Coffee Company. Have you ever heard of them, Nancy? So they
I
have.
have I have followed you and heard, and our family's huge coffee drinkers.
Oh,
So
I
that
love
that
that.
was
Thank you.
a really cool sponsor that you have.
Yeah, I think so. Right. And so this tonight I have the Pumps and Orphan Coffee with the Queen. I'm hooked on this stuff. I have a cupboard full of all the different ones, and so a huge shout out to my show sponsors there.
Yeah.
And we're going to go ahead and start off with giving away some tickets because every week I have been giving away 4 tickets to Lethbridge's premier comedy club, Good Times Comedy Club. So the first person, hopefully a local person that can actually use the tickets to get the question right, will win 4. And I'm going to let Nancy ask the question.
Yeah, it's a very cool question, by the way. So, which late night talk show host referred to Neil as the greatest drummer in rock and roll? And I'm not allowed to answer, so.
I forgot to give you a drum roll, which would have been really pertinent in this show. I normally give a drum roll, but I'm hot, so I'm a little off. So, Nancy, as I just touched on, you and I met. It was a couple of months ago, I think, in Calgary at the Peart Family Foundation. What an event that was! I was thinking about that today.
It was incredible.
The sheer attendance and the outpouring of love for Neil's memory and for you and Judy. And what did you think about that whole experience? Because this is not your neck of the woods. Like,
No,
you're from
no.
Ontario and this is way out west here.
Yeah. So the first off, hospitality right off the plane, of course, incredible. We had Ethel and Phil, our amazing drivers, picking us up at the airport. And from then on, it was amazing. Everybody was so friendly. The talent out there is incredible. The number of musicians that we got to see was amazing. And it's just so heartwarming to hear everybody's stories because everybody has a story. And that's the best part of meeting people is hearing those stories.
I would imagine, yeah, it was just fun. The energy, like there was just this energy. It was palpable. You could feel the energy and you could feel the love, and the place was packed. It was sold out. And then Calgary's YYC, the Rush tribute. What an amazing tribute.
Fantastic. Yes. And we have Christians coming to golf with us at our golf tournament, and we can't wait.
Oh, great. So Christian Dallaire, who is the amazing Neil Peart, I guess, drummer of the YYC Rush band. He's an incredible drummer. Yeah. So, funny enough, I met Christian when I was on the road probably 25 years ago. He used to come out and watch our band. And we were all just kids back then, like young.
Yeah.
And this was in like somewhere up in northern Alberta that he lived. And fast forward like 30 years later, and now I've met him again. And we were kind of like, I think, and you're that, we were at your parents' house and there was a pool. I remember that. I remember him and his girlfriend and our band, they invited us to the pool. And it really is a small world in the music industry.
Yeah.
And I'm sure since you've had the foundation, and again, we're going to get to that right away here, you've realized what a small world it really is.
Oh, amazing. Yes. And we were in Scotland. We were guests of Rush Fest Scotland, and the same thing. Incredible experience. Everybody was so amazing. And the outpouring of love just from fans was just so incredible. And the stories that we brought back to share with our mother, which is the best part because she loves it.
I bet.
So the stories are just amazing.
I would imagine too. The comments. Oh, Ethel Pittman's actually in the house tonight.
Hi, Ethel.
Big shout out to Ethel because she was instrumental in helping connect us
for that whole event.
Happening. Yes. And John Sinclair from YYC. He's the very first one that even brought it to my attention. So I imagine he'll pop in at some point too. And the question answers are flying in, but we'll wait. We'll wait on that for a little bit. So, January 7th on 2020, at the age of 67, after 3.5-year battle with brain cancer, your family lost a brother and a son. Alex and Getty lost a quote, soul brother and bandmate of over 45 years. Mm-hmm. And I remember and we were talking about this a little bit before the show, and I remember just feeling this complete, there's just this complete shock and sadness, as did the entire country and most of the modern world. Were you prepared for a family for this, or did you kind of have some idea that it was coming? Or
we had 3.5 years to prepare. So we knew it was coming. And then once it happened, we had that week of radio silence where we couldn't tell anybody. And then I think we had 10 minutes notice before it was going live to the world.
Wow.
So we had 10 minutes to tell everyone that we hadn't told in 3.5 years that, sorry, we lied, everything's not okay. So, it was a really hard, probably the week was the hardest week that we went through because we knew and couldn't share it.
I would imagine, Nancy, and I noticed, when I was doing a little bit of homework here, I think it was the CBC that had commented that there was a statement issued by the band, who obviously said "Rest in peace, brother," and called him their soul brother.
Yeah.
And then it was, please respect the family's privacy at that time. And were people respectful of that?
Oh, our messages were blowing up. Like my daughter finally turned her phone off.
Right.
She's also a musician. She's in the world. And she actually wrote a song that week called Radio Silence because we were under radio silence. So it played at the Night for Neil. It was incredible. And it was a very surreal week. But that 10 minutes was like, I can't even remember who I called in that 10 minutes. I just knew everybody I knew. I had to message them all at once because we knew we had 10 minutes. And then just as one of my best friends got my message, it was on the radio.
Jeez,
so, and then all of them, of course, were getting called because their families all know the connection and that, they are the same thing, had 45 years with them, technically. Right. So it was a shock that went around the world. That's for sure.
It sure was. Yeah. And, I kind of wish that people had been more respectful. And I was thinking today, I think when we lose someone that has this heavy global presence and notoriety, I think we tend to feel it a bit heavier because we almost think of them as immortal or bulletproof.
Right.
And that sounds crazy, but I think in some way it's almost more of a shock. Like I
Oh,
think it
for
just
sure.
hits people hard, right?
Yeah. And there
And
was no warning for the world. Like
right,
that's how we felt it as well, that we sympathized with the world because they had no warning.
right.
And we still do. Like we had men crying on us in Scotland. And
Oh,
it's
I'm
like,
sure.
oh, I'm so sorry. I know what you feel like, but
Right. You're consoling them.
yes.
That's beautiful, Nancy.
Well, it's just we know what they're feeling, but in a very different way, but sometimes the same way.
Right.
So, yeah.
Of course. And I think when we lose somebody who is very special to us, I think we grieve and then we try and find some way to keep them alive in spirit somehow,
Yep.
to keep their memory alive. And you and your family have truly found a beautiful and poignant way to do that with the Peart Family Foundation, as well as the Peart Family events.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that, Nancy?
Yeah. So that summer, after Neil passed, I went through all of that. How can I make this a good thing? I had dealt with our local cancer center, the RVH Cancer Center in Barrie, is the only cancer center north of Toronto that deals with this massive area. So
Right.
I had already raised funds for them for through women's weekends. I worked at a resort and we had a women's weekend every year and raised money for cardiology for them. And I think we had raised $60,000 over 9 years or
That's
something.
amazing.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to link them. So I talked to them and I said, can we do some kind of fundraising? I think I can do an online auction. And they were like, absolutely. So
Yeah.
they created a page for us and called it the Peart Family Memorial Fund. So with that page that summer, we raised $80,000.
Wow.
And then I thought, okay, this is incredible. So then I talked to my dad. He was still then, and he was a huge golfer. He golfed 5 days a week. Golf was a major part of our family, and I'm an event planner. So I was like, how about we start a golf tournament? Everybody does.
Everybody loves golf.
Tournaments. So I planned one then for the following year, and my dad passed the following June. And I thought, okay, well, now we're doing it for both of them. And so to date, now we're coming on to our third annual this year, and we've raised $123,000.
Bravo.
So that's been donated to our cancer center. And then my dad passed away in hospice. So we pulled in hospice last year as well. And we've donated $25,000 to hospice so far.
That's amazing.
So, yeah. So this year.
People are commenting as you're speaking. Amazing, beautiful. Karen Barr, who is a guest on the show, is just saying beautiful, amazing, and on behalf of everybody, like good for you. Hats off.
Yeah, thanks. It's the most excellent thing we can do. That's what came out of my mouth in the first interview I did, and I thought, okay, we're going to use his tagline now. So
absolutely, yeah.
So now it's our thing to do. And I pulled my sisters in. We have an Ontario registered business, and we work with registered charities. And so that's how everything we raise, we donate. So it was great going to Rush Fest Scotland this year, just as us. I can imagine. Right. And we helped them raise money as well. I had some custom glasses engraved, and we had a Macallan tour. So I got a little special Macallan package and donated the glasses and the Macallan at their event. And it went for £600.
Which is how much Canadian?
Like $1,000 Canadian.
Unbelievable.
And my mother and my sister hand knitted gnomes for Rush for Scotland, and I forget, they sold out there. Like it was incredible. And so they've made red ones to honor Rush Girls Rock, and my mom puts jewels on them. Beautiful. And we ordered little pins, and we have bronze ones also for our bronze campaign. So they've been like, I made her little cards that say Betty Peart Creations, and they're hand knitted. Like it's incredible. So it's really fun that they've been involved in that. And both of them actually went through where they couldn't knit anymore. They both had like pulled muscles in their hands. And their
Carpal
arms.
tunnel syndrome, big
Yeah.
time.
So
I
they had
love that.
they had a month that they couldn't knit.
I love that not only you're raising money, but you're putting your heart and soul into these items that you're, then selling to raise funds. And tell us, Nancy, where does the money specifically go? Like, we know that it's towards cancer.
Yeah, so
Can
it
you tell us
goes
what areas?
our two charities right now are the RVH Cancer Center. And this year we have Hospice Niagara because we recently moved my mom back to Niagara.
Right.
And we're in the midst of moving back. So they service the whole Niagara area. And the government funding's ridiculous. I won't get into that. So I connected with them through my work with hospice and thought this is an amazing charity. So we're going to add them this year since our golf tournament's in Niagara.
Nice. So you're going to do some traveling with it as well.
Yeah,
A little bit.
My sister's lives there. So that's why I thought, oh, this is crazy. So
Perfect.
I'm 2.5 hours away. So we're hoping our house is for sale. So we're hoping to move back to Niagara as well. There's no snow and no bugs.
Hopefully no tornadoes either. No. We're getting a ton of comments here, Nancy, so I'm going to pop over to a few of them here. This is hilarious. So my buddy Ricky Lamha, who's a big fan of the show, good friend, he's actually at a Riders game right now when he's tuning in to see.
Hello.
Love that, buddy. That's dedication. So he says, just want to say hi to you guys. I'm at the Riders game, and Neil was the best drummer. I always love watching Neil play the drums to Hockey Night in Canada.
Perfect.
Aww.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ricky. Ed Schoaf, good friend of the show, is saying, rest in peace, Neil. Sorry for your loss. I think millions of us lost our idol. He was such a rare soul. Very well said. Okay. Oh, this is nice. So Spider Entertainment Group, who is Ken Holst, who's a good friend of mine who just put on the huge corn stalk.
Oh, that looked amazing.
It was amazing. It was sold out. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Ken did such a great host of it. YYC Rush was one of the headliners. They were amazing. And Ken's already working on Cornstalk 2024, which is going to be bigger and better. So
yeah, that looked really amazing. So send me the dates. We'll see what we can work out.
I will do that. So he says that he was gifted last weekend a signed picture of Neil. Judy and Nancy signed by Judy and Nancy signed. What an amazing treasure. Thank you so much. Oh,
thank you.
That is beautiful. Karen Barg she's just throwing in hearts and beautiful and amazing, and she's going to learn to do a Rush tune. She plays violin with the quartet.
So amazing!
And she does rock. She does rock music.
Yeah.
Yes. So, so Neil, this is something I was questioning whether to bring up or not, but I think it's kind of important because there's still other ways that fans can connect with Neil, and that's through, of course, some of his memoirs that he's written. And so Neil, of course, experienced some heartbreak of his own. And I love that he chose to write, some very personal memoirs, which I imagine were very healing for him and to whoever reads them. So, of course, I'm talking about Ghost Rider, Travels on the Healing Road, which he wrote in 2002.
Yeah.
And he opened up about the 1997 death of his 19-year-old daughter, Selena, and then his wife 10 months later. Mm-hmm. I was reading some reviews, and it was just truly beautiful to see how this book just resonated with people and how many people said, I saw my pain in his pain and I found healing. And funny enough, a good friend of mine, Rox Hunter, he's a musician up north. I can't remember, Whitehorse. He actually responded on Facebook and he said, and this is a quote, I just finished listening to Neil's audiobook Ghost Rider today, driving back from a show. I did a tour all over Alaska and the Yukon this summer. It was a lot of driving and this book kept me company. There were times I was driving on the same roads that Neil was talking about traveling himself in this book. I always feel like I know someone after reading, or in my case, listening to something so personal. Such a unique book, part diary, part travelogue, all interspersed with grief, loss, and healing. And how does it make you feel to know that Neil is still touching people and still reaching out and touching hearts?
That book specifically, we got it sent right away before, like it's whatever, and we didn't think we could read it because it was very soon after. Right. And I found when I got into it was amazing. Like the writing, that's the first time the writing really took me in, and it was so fascinating for us to live that with him again. And I know he got a lot of criticism about not interacting with fans. And I think that was his way. And he was more personal than any meet and greet you could ever have.
Right.
In his books.
He let his soul out in that book. Like
yeah.
He literally, it doesn't get much more personal than that. So
yeah. And his other ones were just so entertaining into parts of his life that people are so intrigued with, like the traveling music and how music affected his life. Music was huge in our family.
I would imagine.
And my dad was actually started as a choir boy. My dad had an amazing voice and turned into an amazing low voice. And I think other than my daughter, he's the only one who really sang in the family. None of us got that gift.
Other gifts, just not that one, right?
Yeah.
And I understand your brother Danny has a poetry book. He writes as well.
He has quite a few. Yes. He's doing really well. Just got an amazing review. I was hoping he could be on.
We were hoping, but
yes. He is going to be with us during our golf tournament. He's going to have some of his books. We have a Lakeside Park event on the Sunday before our golf tournament. And the wonderful Moving Pictures is flying in from Scotland to play with us.
Nice.
And Danny will be there through it and have his books there. So Judy and I used to bug him for his whole first series of books because we were never in any of them.
It's like, what the hell?
So finally he put us in the last one, and mine was really good. I liked it. So his and Judy's poem was about getting lost in the woods or something. So,
right. What was yours about?
It was about kind of my life story, which is really neat. But I worked nights so that I could be home with my kids because my husband worked days, and Danny always really respected that. So that was part of it. And he has a picture of me dancing, I think a dance picture when I was 8. So it's very, very entertaining. And then he framed one for both of us. So
beautiful. Well, it's too bad Danny wasn't here, but we'll say a big hello to him and hope he's having a great time this weekend. And, speaking of writing, I really tend to listen to lyrics.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of intelligent lyrics. It's one of the reasons I've always loved Rush. It's one of the reasons I like the Tragically Hip. I always look for the deep, meaningful lyrics. And, we all tend to think of Neil primarily as the drum virtuoso in Rush, but he was also one of the main lyricists. And I think not everybody may know that.
Yeah, especially I think he was the main one for the latter years for sure. Like the second part of their tour for sure. He's always been very wordy.
That was going to be my next question. Was he always so eloquent as a child with words?
Well, my mom used to ask him to speak English. So he always had very intelligent wording of how, even when speaking to him. So
well, I would imagine, because when you think of some of the lyrics, they're profound and they're deep. And I think, like I said, I think a lot of people, and possibly myself included, would always focus on his drumming because, he had this genius way of weaving together, techniques of different genres, big band, jazz, and rock. And so I was always watching his drumming, but the fact that he was also, probably the lyricist of the entire band it's like, wow.
Yes.
And so I'm not surprised that he went on to write a bunch of memoirs and books. And when did it become apparent to you that your brother was going to become a household name?
I think probably when I was in high school, because I was 10 so my first show at Massey Hall, I was 10, and my mom and dad and I were there. My sister and her family were there, and she was married by then. And I just remember they opened for Nazareth, and
cool.
My mom and dad and we were in the front row of the upper balcony. So this is the opposite of the latter life, but as soon as they're the opening band, as soon as they were done, we were leaving. And so the first set of Nazareth came on, and my dad was like, "Oh, we're out of here."
Oh no.
So my dad was big band, Frank
Right.
Sinatra, Tony Bennett. So we knew at that point we were leaving. So,
So you missed the whole
but
show?
we met. Yeah, we stayed for Neil. They were the opener. So we watched it and then we left.
Okay. And what was that like for you? Because that's a pretty big
Um,
deal.
yeah, it really didn't resonate then. It was, it was cool. But I was 10. So
So you don't really know what's going on.
no, it was just, I knew he was, he was good and he was doing something. So, and I think in high school would be when, like, I had their picture in my locker, and that's when people started asking me about him. And I
Who
was
is
like,
right?
oh yeah, that's my brother, so what? And then the guys were all like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm like, okay.
That and so like not it's probably not till later that you realize the depth of it and the like the wow factor.
Yeah, no, even then, like, to our family, we have lots of nieces and nephews. I have 3 girls, and he was just Uncle Neil, or just Neil.
Right.
So they would never give him time to be the superstar Neil. That's just
Right.
not our family.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, my sister, I wish she was here because she has great stories of her kids. So her kids are older, so they would have been Selena's age. So they grew up with Selena. And so they would be the ones in the audience doing the loser sign on their head to Neil, like during the
Oh,
show.
that's so mean.
And oh no, because he'd be doing it back
Oh, okay.
through,
So
like,
it was
through
a
the
thing.
drum kit. There's little signals that it was hilarious. And that's just, he was goofy Uncle Neil to them. So
Right.
that's where it was really a different world, because we never really let him be that. And he never was, like, he never
Was he
wanted.
humble? He
Oh,
strikes me as he's probably extremely humble the
oh
whole
yeah, he
ride.
never wanted to be the superstar. So he never ever played that card. He just treated all the kids so well. Like, it was incredible. He sponsored all of them. Any other sports. My kids got to be on Team Canada for dance, and he sponsored them. And my nephews played lacrosse and hockey, and he was that uncle.
Right. Right. This is really funny, and I feel like I have to say something now. Karen Barg, who's a guest on the show, says, "What's that squeaking in the background?" And I just realized it's my damn chair.
Oh,
I'm like, "What's that squeaking?" And then I hit. That's my chair, and I can't do a damn thing about it in this moment.
I'm glad it's you and not me.
So I'm trying not to move, but thank you for pointing that out, Karen, because I wasn't aware it was being picked up. Note to self: next week, new chair.
She has really good headphones.
Yeah, she must have, yeah, or none at all. I don't know. Sorry about that, guys. That's all. It's a bouncy chair. Okay. Anyway, I digress. So one of my other questions for you is, what was Neil like as a child?
Well, I wasn't there because he was
We
12.
just had this conversation. You're the baby like me.
He was 12 when I was born, so he's the oldest. I'm the youngest. So my family was really active. They did camping all the time. We were always at cottages, and we lived on the lake. So lake life was, swimming on the dock. And
Nice.
I know he's documented stories of almost drowning, and they had the horrible time of taking swimming lessons in Lake Ontario.
Oh, lovely.
I did not. By the time I came, there was a community pool.
I was going to say you went to a pool.
Yes. But we had the same swimming teacher, which is crazy. So by the time I had her, she was probably 80.
Right.
That's our story.
As you were, kids.
Yeah. And they
don't drown.
Scouts, like they, Neil was a Boy Scout. And so really active that way. We had a boat my whole life and a cottage. And so it was, but I have to say our cottage it was out in the bush, had no hydro, no running water. We had to get the water. We went snowmobiling in the winter, and you'd break the stream to get fresh water, and you'd have to get the wood stove going to get heat. So it was all really rustic, but amazing childhood.
I was just going to say, but great memories, right? Like fond
Absolutely.
memories of it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a beautiful childhood. And
Yeah.
so some tons of comments here, Nancy. My friend Gary Jones, he's referring to the foundation. And he is saying humble and gracious service to mankind is a virtue. Bless the Peart Family Foundation, along with all the volunteers I'm sure you have. Is there a lot of volunteers on board?
Through our golf tournament, yeah, we usually have about 25 volunteers at the tournament alone. For our other events, it's usually just me and my sister and brother. Now we do things together. But other than having online, because we were going through COVID, all of our auctions were online. So it was simply setting it up. There's amazing volunteers at the RVH Foundation that we work directly with.
Right.
And they would come out to our events and they'd have putting things going on. And so they're amazing. I'm actually stopping there on Tuesday to pick up some stuff from them for our golf tournament. So I think there's like a core group of 4 that we work with directly there as well.
Right. And so I'm wondering, I'm trying to think of how the viewers and the fans can get on board. I do have the Peart Family events.com down, scrolling along the bottom there. How can people get involved and possibly donate to this very worthy fund in Neil's honor?
We have different things. The RVH Foundation has a direct link with charity receipts. We do things with a lot of businesses because we can give business receipts. Right now we have special awards at our tournament. So we have one that my daughter lives part-time in Pennsylvania, and their neighbor just passed away with cancer, and he was a drummer and a musician. And so his family had a fundraiser and raised money for an award. So we're giving an award in his name now every year at our golf tournament. And we just started one for Lynn Gore as well. Huge Rush fan, the Rush Girls Rock legacy. So we just started an award for her as well. So we are raising funds for that award. And I don't think it's on. We just launched this new website. So my daughter's been working on it. I don't think the link is there yet, but it may be. It's on Facebook under Rush Girls Rock.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's directly related with that group. So Ethel is on, and it's Ethel spearheaded the group and has all the information on the award as well.
Okay, perfect. And so the link that's scrolling across the bottom will also take you to some information.
Yes.
As well, right? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Facebook, that Rush Girls Rock is probably the best link if you're on Facebook. They're an amazing group too.
I belong to that group.
Yeah.
I'm a Rush girl and I kind of rock some days. Not
they
always.
Sponsored a hole at our golf tournament last year, and it was so much fun. We had 3 awards for ladies on the hole. Not always the best, One was, I think, Into the Woods, fun ones.
Right.
So they're a fantastic group that we work with directly now and have a lot of fun with them.
Beautiful. And what do you think Neil would think of the whole foundation?
He would love fundraising. Especially the cancer and hospice, knowing it's directly linked. We've probably lost 5 family members directly to cancer. And just the patient service help isn't there yet. Like, people are working 3 jobs to pay for their meds. And it's just crazy still. Although we have great healthcare in Canada, there's a huge hole of that where people still have to work having cancer treatment to pay
to live,
for their
to
meds.
try and live.
Yeah, it's just, and that's what we're trying to change. So
we were talking before the show, and sorry to interrupt you, Anna. I think cancer is something that touches everyone. I don't know a single person that hasn't been touched by it. And I was sharing with you that my father died of lung cancer when he was 38 years old. Yeah. And I remember there was a treatment that could have possibly saved his life. I think they were called cobalt treatments back then. This was quite a while back. And they were available for a cost.
Right.
And of course, my mom was a housewife with 3 kids. And I remember our entire town, we lived in a small town in BC, our entire town put on a hockey tournament and raised money for the three of us to go. So not just he went, but his family could go with him to get these life-saving treatments, which didn't end up saving his life. He only lived for 3 weeks. But my point is, had people not raised the money, there wouldn't even have been that chance afforded to him.
Right.
Even that chance. And so I do agree with you, Nancy. There was definitely a hole, in that part of the health community about, and I've heard of people going to, they're going for their cancer treatments and they have to pay for parking. And
right.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Or drivers, if they have nobody to drive them, at least I think there's community volunteers now that are helping. But even then, someone has to pay that volunteer association. They have to raise money too.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just a vicious circle, I think. And there's more and more treatments coming out as they find them, that we just need to figure out how to make those accessible when you don't have insurance.
Right. And the sad thing is we do have insurance in Canada. I mean, it's got to be way worse in the States.
Yes.
I would imagine. I can't even imagine. And there's so many comments coming in. I'm not going to get to them all, guys. I'm sorry, but people are just constantly like, great work and hats off to you and the ladies. And it's great work. Everybody can relate to it.
Yes. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We have had some negative comments, which is weird, but
what is wrong with people?
Exactly. And we're just because we're not a registered charity, so that we can give to all the charities that we support. And that's what we feel is important as well.
Right. It's the message it's, I don't want to say it's the thought that counts, but similar to that sort of consciousness, right? It's, it's like you're out here doing a good thing in memory of someone you love and someone in memory of someone the entire world loved. Like how can, but there's always going to be those types, aren't there?
Yes, for sure.
Pox on them. Pox on them. Do you have a favorite Rush song, Nancy?
No.
Hard to narrow it down, isn't it?
Yeah, I was, the pop genre. So I tend to go with the ones that the
radio friendly ones
don't like I love Free Will, just the message also, and everyone can sing it. Roll the Bones, my girls used to love and try and do the rap part, and all my girls are dancers as well. So my oldest actually got to do an acro song to Tom Sawyer.
Wow. Eh?
So our studio is always rocking back to AC/DC and Thunderstruck and all the classic ones. So she would pull in whatever she could. So I just I don't know.
It's hard to pick one. But speaking of Free Will, there's a perfect example of one of Neil's intelligent lyrics, and it's only one line, but it's so profound. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
Right.
First time I heard that, my little 12-year-old mind was blown. I thought, because I've been a writer from the time I was 10 years old. Like that's kind of what I do. That's what I do for a day job. And I thought that is so good. Very simple, but so profound. That's still a choice. If you choose not to decide, that's still a choice.
I think that's on quite a few tattoos now.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah. Ethel has a question. So Ethel wants to know, what is your mom's favorite Rush song?
I'm not sure if she could name one. Honestly.
I guess we need to remember to her, she's just Neil.
Yeah.
That's her baby.
Yeah. And it's not something she would put on. She would probably say the Buddy Rich album. Because that would be her genre. But I'm not sure that she could name one.
Neil Armstrong? What Neil are you talking about? Oh man, can you share a favorite childhood memory of Neil?
So Neil's very tall. And my favorite memory was we had a corner store in Port Dalhousie called Mrs. Thompson's. And we all have huge sweet tooths in our family. And he would put me on his shoulders and walk down to Mrs. Thompson's to get penny candy. So, and I remember it so clearly because I never could believe the view from up there.
Never mind the candy. Look at the view.
6'4" view from being like 5 feet tall.
Right.
So it was pretty incredible. And I remember we used to do that all the time. So it was such a
Oh,
cool walk. And I don't know how many blocks it was. It wasn't super close. I used to walk past it to school, so it wasn't far. But yeah, that's probably my favorite memory.
oh, when
Yeah.
pennies were penny candy were actually penny
And
candy.
you
I
got a
remember that.
whole bag
Yeah,
of the
I used
little
to.
paper bag.
What kind of candy did you and Neil eat?
The
I used to eat.
Swedish berries were my favorite.
Me too, and the bananas, the
Yes,
little marshmallows, and the blue whales.
and I was strange because I liked the black balls. So I
That's
used
not
to,
strange.
yeah, and my mom still loves them. But yeah, we used to get the black balls. So when you were done all the candy, you would have something to suck on the way home.
Yeah, for it would last a long time, and your mouth would be black. But that was part of the fun of it,
Yeah,
right?
and you'd pull it out to see all the different colors
I
underneath
remember
it.
those. We used to call them. We used to call them gobstoppers.
Yeah, those were bigger, but
Yeah,
the black balls were quite little.
yeah, like little
Yeah.
marbles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, trip down memory lane for me too. So Karen Bark wants to know what my favorite Rush song is, and I would have to say Red Barchetta.
Yeah.
Oh, because that song, there's one thing I'm a huge fan of. Don't get me started. Is the music songs that tell a story
Yeah.
and transport you to that story in your mind. And I think Red Barchetta really does that perfectly. Like, you can see the old barn and him whipping off the cloth in his car and then speeding down the highway. And the music that accompanies the lyrics is, you can feel the speed. You can hear the sound of the car. And yeah, that's absolutely my favorite one. Hey, Curtis Vasselnack is in the house. Hey, Curtis. Curtis is just saying, hey, guys, this is awesome. And, so here's something that I learned. I have to be honest about this. I was today years old when I learned this about Rush. I thought I knew a lot, but, of course, Rush sold millions of albums worldwide and, the tons of accolades and awards. But two that really kind of struck me is I'm just sitting here trying not to squeak is really what I'm doing right now. Okay, I'm going to squeak one more time and I'm not going to move for the rest of the show because now I'm all paranoid. And I had to write them down, so I got them correct. But the two that really stand out for me, one is that they received an Order of Canada.
Yes.
Okay, now not a lot of people, but people do receive them. But what's really cool about it is Rush was the first group to ever receive that. Normally, it's just given to one person.
Right.
And that's something I didn't know. So I thought, how cool is that? They were the first group to ever receive that. Like, I think that would be the one that would blow my mind the most if I was family member or.
Got a little lapel pin, and Neil wore that pin on every suit occasion. It was on his suit. So he was very proud of that one.
I would imagine. And something else to be super proud of too is that they were inducted into the US Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013. And that came after years of fans like lobbying, like devoted fans lobbying in the US.
Yes.
That's crazy. And any musicians that are listening, and you would probably know from just being in the industry that it's really hard to break into the U.S. market. It's super hard. So I think that's another one that I was really thrilled to read about. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's something.
Yeah, actually, their friends we grew up with just posted pictures today that they were just there. So that was kind of ironic.
That is ironic.
Yeah. Cleveland.
Wow, that's and you're talking about them raising funds in Scotland for Rush, so they really were kind of like citizens of the world, weren't they? We like to think in Canada, we like to think they're ours, and they really, let's be real, they're ours. They're our Canadian. Us Canadians like to be, selfish with talent like that, and they're ours. They're Canadian, but they really were a gift to the entire world.
This group and this Rush West Scotland is phenomenal. They've been raising money for years and years, long before Neil ever passed. And we met people who had come in from Argentina and Sweden, and like it was crazy. Germany, Norway, like all into Rush Fest Scotland, and the talent was incredible. And the same thing, just hardcore fans wanting to celebrate the music and raise money for cancer in Scotland. So all of these events are just like phenomenal.
Just big deal, like just big, huge events, right? And
Yeah.
will the golf tournament continue yearly? Would this be an annual thing for
This
you?
is our third annual, and we're growing every year. We have 30 teams this year. It's been a little
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah,
So,
I should say. By the way, Nancy, Lethbridge has a very lovely golf course. If you ever want to,
okay.
just have it here, just saying.
I'm
Just
not a huge golfer myself,
me
but
either.
it's but knowing the work it takes hands on, it's pretty hard. It's hard enough for me planning at 2.5 hours away. I've been going pretty much every other week down to my sister's to gather all the awards and the auction prizes. Auction prizes coming in are phenomenal, and I'm having them shipped right to her house now. So
Nice. Yeah, I'm not much of a golfer either, but man, the people that golf, they love it. They're obsessed with it. It's either like it's not a thing, or they freaking live, eat. My brother and
yeah.
his wife, they breathe it like it's their life, right? And
Well,
so,
this tournament is fun, definitely. It's not your we always say professionals need not attend because it's a little crazy. There's music going. The guys have Rush playing on their carts. Like it's hilarious when you see the teams coming up to tee off and their music blaring. And we have Bench Brewery is at a hole, and this year we have 13th Street Winery at a hole, and we have
nice.
high-end cannabis at a hole.
Perfect.
And
Sounds like a
yeah,
party to me.
it is so much fun. And I booked buses this year from our host hotel, so nobody has to drive.
That you
So
got to think of that stuff too,
yeah,
right?
so it is a party, and that's how we take it. Our awards are not for the best shot. We often
Right.
have first one into the drink, which is not your first drink, which I have to remind my nephew.
Drink is different in golf.
Yes.
I don't even know what that is. Yeah.
And we have like first into the woods and the one who hits the keg. So
Right.
yeah, it's all fun, and we have so many awards. Everybody goes home with stuff. We have
With
great
something, yeah.
swag bags too. So
Wow. I like swag bags. No,
yeah.
great idea. It sounds like a very well-oiled machine. It sounds like a
It's getting there. This year's definitely easier than the past two. So,
and that as it goes, right? That's how things go, as
yeah.
you continue on. Ethel Pittman wants to know if Neil golfed.
We actually have a picture. He golfed with our family. And there's some stories our family has. So we actually added that to our Facebook golf page. I think it's going to be going on the website because it's hilarious. And coordinated, no. And we always say golf is not the game for the perfectionist.
Yeah.
It never became his game because, if you're not perfect the first time, it's pretty tough to come back from that, especially when you have your nephews who are, chiding you the whole way.
Chiding uncle, right? Was he a perfectionist? Was Neil a perfectionist?
Oh yeah.
I think that's a common personality trait in people in the arts. I really do. Like you find that a lot, right? And if he wasn't, people probably wouldn't be calling him the world's best drummer.
Right. And it's
to some degree, right?
It's a perfectionist with yourself. So
right. Not competitive. There's a difference.
No,
competitive is with other people, and it's ugly.
So we all have a degree of that in our family. My dad's comeback for me, I think more so than anyone, I would always say, is this good enough when I'm doing something for him? And he would say, if it's perfect, it's good enough. So that's
oxymoron.
So that became our thing. Is it, if it's perfect, it's good enough. So we have a little bit of that strive for perfection.
Right. But I love the sarcasm in that. I love that.
Yeah. So
I'm a big fan of smartassery.
Yes.
Just saying. So Nancy, aside from his incredible musical talent and contribution to the music industry, what, in your opinion, what other imprint, I don't know if that's the right word, or gift, would you say that Neil left the world? Aside from his music.
From our view, which is why we do what we do, his charitable giving was phenomenal. And probably 90% nobody knew about. So
there's that humility factor, right?
Yeah. So every time he had a trip, like he used to bicycle first before he motorcycled. bicycled through Africa. Well, he came home and donated money to have water wells built because he was in it and living it, that there was no water. They drank Fanta because that's the only thing they could trust.
Right, safe, right.
Drinking it. So
I just drank vodka personally, but
yeah, when you're on a bike, it doesn't work very
probably
well.
not a good idea.
He's already getting stared at because he's 6'4". So
I saw that. I had no idea he was that tall. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the charitable giving at Christmas, I remember he and his wife and Selena would sit down every Christmas and make their list of who they were donating to.
Oh.
And same thing, especially with family sport stuff going on, any kind of when our kids were fundraising. So it wasn't a giveaway. He would match whatever they raised.
Wow.
Like it was, which still instilled, like it wasn't a handout. So it taught them how to fundraise also.
And give back, right?
Yeah. And then it was doubled. So yeah, it was incredible. So he was so charitable his whole life that's why we do what we do.
I love it. What a great legacy. And so apropos for him that what you're doing now fits him. Now that I know that about him,
yes,
it suits him absolutely beautiful. And
and my dad was a Lion for probably 60 years.
Oh, like the Lions Club.
The Lions Club.
Right. And they do a lot of charitable work as well.
Yeah. He went through the whole ranks. We call him the Grand Poobah. He was like all the ranks of the Lions Club of Canada. Oh. So he was exactly the same. Every weekend we were doing the food drive or we were doing, the tag days or whatever. And the same thing. So that's how we were raised also.
Right. I was going to say, it sounds like that whole consciousness of helping others and giving back was passed down from your parents.
Yeah.
And do you now, Nancy, try and instill that in your own children?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And they all help at some point in the golf tournament. Like whether Hannah does our website. We had Emma doing all of the programs last year, getting sponsors. They're all involved in that as well. And my youngest daughter works in healthcare. She's a respiratory therapist. So she knows firsthand what the need is there also.
She sees it firsthand.
So,
eh? Yeah. Nancy, what do you miss most about Neil?
Well, we said after the first year, it was the birthday greeting. He never missed a birthday. Oh. Like always got an email, no matter where he was in the world. We always got an email on my birthday. So that was
thoughtfulness, eh?
Yeah, and hey, little sister. Like it was always, from wherever he was. Greetings from like wherever. So
Germany or Switzerland or wherever, right?
Yeah, wherever. Or the house in Quebec. So it was that's probably, it's weird, but that's the most prominent thing that you really miss when it's not there.
But I don't think that's weird at all. I think, the fact that, given he's leading that life and stuff, and he would still take time to first remember it's your birthday and then take the time. I think that speaks volumes about him as a human. And so that's not weird at all. And I'm just curious if Neil were here with us right now. First of all, I'd be fangirling like a big dork if Neil was here with us right now. What do you think he would say he was most proud of in his whole life?
I don't know. That's really, really a hard one. Knowing him, he'd probably say his parents.
His family. I would think he'd probably say his family.
Yeah.
I could see him. I don't know him personally, but from what I've learned from you, especially today, I could see him saying his family first and his music second. Yeah.
His music was his work. So, and he always referred to it as work. So, and he was also thinking, we were fundraising for, I don't know how many years before he passed, and he never said no to donating anything. And we used to, bug him for big stuff. And knowing that just that signature was the world. And my mom used to tease him because she still gets bugged for autographs, and now it's hers, which she just won't fathom, but we just keep telling her it's, she's next. She's it.
Yeah, she's probably happy to do it, right?
She's the one that said, okay, he could play.
Yeah. She brought the first drum kit. Was it noisy in your house? I was thinking about that today. Was like when he got his first drum kit, was it like chaos?
No, because he was in the house that he was young, and it's the picture in his pajamas. So he was upstairs in a bedroom. So I don't even remember. He used to drum on my playpen. And clearly it never bothered me. I mean, I have
That's
rhythm.
Cute.
I think it gave me rhythm. So
that's hilarious because he would have been 12 then.
Yeah.
He had it in him even at that age. He had that sense of rhythm and just that artistic sort of musical.
He used to drum on everything. I remember clearly the kitchen table because I think if I was older, I probably would have slapped his hands because it drives me nuts when my husband does it. It's like, sit still. So yeah, I think I don't know. He just, he was so grateful for my parents that he would have done anything for them.
That's beautiful because oftentimes that's not always the case.
Right.
Let's be honestly, it's not always the case, and whether you had parents that were great or not, not everybody, has the fortitude to recognize that and nurture that and appreciate it. And
especially drums so eventually when we call it the big house in Port Dalhousie, he had the whole garage. And so I do remember hearing it, but I don't remember it being bad. So I think that's the difference is it was good music.
Right. So it might have been loud, but he knew what he was doing. So
yeah,
it wasn't hella annoying.
No, I know there was one neighbor who used to call all the time because the police did show up to our house that my mom clearly remembers and knew what neighbor it was. And so did the police every time. So they would just stop for the night whenever that happened. And, but I don't remember ever like being late into the night or anything. So.
Right. And so were you close with the other members of Rush, or do you still see Alex and Getty, or?
Not really. No, I've talked to them, but no, the lives at that point were just so far away, like spread out.
Right. Well, it had been since 2015 that they played together. Yeah. So it would make sense. People kind of go their own way and whatnot.
Yeah. And they all, have their own lives. But they've been huge supporters of us for our first 2 years of fundraising. It was great.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I just want to reiterate one more time. So visit the www.peartfamilyevents.com. That's scrolling along the bottom of your screen. If there's ways that you would like to donate in Neil's honor or just to find out about the Family Foundation, go and check that out. One last question. What do you think Neil would have thought about this interview?
Well, he did. Like now that I see them, because it's great when people share them. I love it when they share them on Facebook now, because there's a lot of them that we didn't see before. And now we get to see them all. So it's really neat. And I share them with my mom. So she gets to see it as well. But, my big line is charity's charity. So whatever we can do to help raise funds. And that's why we do what we do.
Right. So, and so do you think I think he'd be cool with us talking about him?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah. I think so too.
But, we're not, I have to keep the family thing and, not glorify him too much.
No. And I think, and I just, honestly, I can't thank you for being here. It's just been such an honor to have you here. And thank you for being so candid.
Oh, no problem.
And just, so from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for carrying on Neil's legacy through the foundation. And I know the fans appreciate it. I know your family appreciates it.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what else to say about that. I just think God bless. I think it's amazing.
And I thank
for you,
the fans, every time I'm in any type of public scenario. I thank the fans too. We couldn't do it without their support. And same thing. We do it because of their stories, because we know the needs there to help. So whatever we can do, we're going to do it. So
good for you. And it brings comfort. It brings comfort to everybody, to all the fans.
It gives a purpose. You have a purpose for.
That's right. Right.
For
so
getting through.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say you have a purpose and trying to make something good out of tragedy.
Absolutely.
So,
and I think Ethel Pittman
yeah.
is saying it best. Way to segue out of the show. Thank you, Peart family, for sharing Neil with all the world. Big hugs to you and all the family. XOXO.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ethel. That's beautiful. Thank you, Nancy, so much for being here. Please give my best wishes to Sister Judy.
For sure.
And Brother Danny, we'll get you next time. And
yes, you get him on here. He would have a lot of fun.
You're next, my pretty.
Yes.
And your little dog too. Thanks for your time, Nancy.
Thank you.
Guys at home, thank you so much for watching. Once again, it's been an honor.
And you have a winner?
I do have a winner. I'm going to announce after the show.
Okay.
And here's why. And actually, I'm glad you asked, because I'm going to explain this to the viewers. When I see the comments coming up, you can't always be sure that you didn't miss some.
Okay, you have to get the first one.
Yeah, so what I do is I go back through the live recording, and then it tells the second people answer. And so, but I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because I always wondered why, if people were wondering why I wasn't announcing it during the show, that's why. I want to be accurate. So, but yeah. It's been a pleasure. You know what? If I lived where you live, I would hang out with you.
Yeah, for sure.
You're just easygoing, and you were just so candid and forthright with answering my questions, and I really, really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. It was lovely, and I'm so glad we actually met.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like we've already met. So it wasn't, it was kind of like seeing somebody you already know as an old friend kind of thing. So yeah. So it was perfect. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Join me next Sunday with Sonic X, who will be here. We're going to be talking about their new album, 14 Shades of Ken. So have a great week, everybody. Until then, stay safe and sane. Be really nice to each other. Bye-bye.